Welcome to Sparkles, a quarterly on photography. I am Antonella Russo. There is no doubt that doctors, paramedics, male and female nurses in particular, have become the secular icons of this pandemic, here in Italy, but also abroad. They are the guiding figures of these bleak days, faces to whom the sick turn for treatment and care, and to whom we spectators of this health catastrophe express our gratitude. As the front page recognition of the newspapers and media comes as no surprise. In Italy, for instance, this image has become a symbol of the committed service and devotion of hospital workers fighting the coronavirus. It is a shot taken by a doctor who spotted nurse Elena Paglierino taking a nap after her shift, collapsed from exhaustion, with her head resting next to her computer keyboard. This exhaustion, as it was later discovered, was due to the fact that the nurse herself had contracted the virus. This is the image that revealed to Italians the enormous pressure and effort to which hospital personnel were subjected at the peak of the pandemic in northern Italy, and moved the whole country. Expressed in this drawing of a nurse with angel wings cradling a wounded Italy, which the Pope John XXIII Hospital in Bergamo, one of the most stricken in northern Italy, requested to be reproduced on its facade. By mid-March, countless pictures of hospital staff taken by photojournalists, but also selfies, had been featured in the media. They show male and female nurses, their faces bruised and swollen from long hours of wearing protective masks. They look like heroic heads and give a face to workers who would otherwise remain anonymous, attesting time and time again to their extraordinary efforts for the life of the affected in circumstances of extreme emergency. Portraits of Italian doctors such as this taken by Francesco Menchise made the cover of international illustrated magazines. It pictures an anesthesiologist glaring at us from underneath a sort of spacesuit helmet and was published on the cover of Time magazine. This photo reportage, taken by Andrea Francetta, entitled The Life and Death Shift, features several bright colors portraits of hospital workers in Lombardy and is accompanied by an emphatic text by Jason Horowitz, published in the New York Times magazine. Now, the nurse subject has a noble antecedent, one which I'd like to assert is still unparalleled. Is the photo essay Nurse Midwife, published in 1951 by Life magazine, taken by the great American photographer W. Eugene Smith. It documents the extraordinary work of Afro-American nurse and midwife Maud Cullen, who assists all by herself 1,000 souls in the slum in the marshes of South Carolina, threatened by continuous raids of the local Ku Klux Klan. Smith followed Maud for 2 months, taking hundreds of shots to choose the ones to show her professionalism, despite the few means available, focusing on Maud's devotion and compassionate care while assisting pregnant women, disabled children, the elderly, ill, handicapped patients, and even turning her own home into a clinic. There have also been Italian photo reportages aiming at documenting the working day of a Covid-19 nurse. In fact, the model of documenting a day in the life of a worker dates back to 1930s German photojournalism. Here, Antonio Calanni pictures a long day of work of Covid-19 nurse Pasqualina Conte, lasting from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., and pictures her in her home at night while social distancing from her child. And yet, to me, Smith's articulate and committed photo essay remains unparalleled because it is the work of a photographer in love. Smith is in love with this human being who is for him the incarnation, the very icon of pietas. It is not a simple documentation of the work of a professional, dedicated nurse. It is rather a portrait of the strength of compassion that animates Maud. She is an extraordinary example of humanity, which, as Smith himself declared, helped him to become a better person. It seems to me that a memorable, unparalleled photograph is one that speaks of an active, militant compassion. It is one that shares a vision of hope to strive for, an image to look at and keep in mind during hard times like the ones we are experiencing. An unforgettable photograph has to resemble a picture of love. Stay well, stay resilient. Antonella Russo.